Chua just making sure that that glove fits snugly.
Yeah, pretty sticky conditions at times here. Most players will take 2 or 3 gloves to each match, change during the match. Now our opening break. And we've tried to watch so many different tables, of course. Loving 9-ball pool, and wishing we were still in the mix, me and Carl Scott, of course, as well. But has any table broken more difficult than the main table?
Can't quite remember the surprise or the precise number, but certainly in the last match on this table last night, Fedor Gorst against Luong, there was definitely 9 dry breaks. There might have been 10.
Yeah, and it just seems to be like that sometimes. And going for the kick shot to start. Gonna be a little light and maybe not the angle he wanted. He's got a pretty big pocket and possibilities where the green 6 is. Can he get to the good side of the 1? You'll see that a player take on a kick shot like that when the push out possibility is
extension
pretty rough.
called.
The 1 was covered up by the 4 and 5, and really hard to push out without giving up a pretty easy play. Does he have a long rail bank here on the 1 that he can play a two-way shot? Probably just pinch him behind the 9 and 8. That's the shot I saw right there. You see how he held the cue ball? That's what we get back to, trying to play to win a little bit.
A two-way shot, and now this rack could go one way. Shaw's.
And the players, we've talked about it, that you can feel the tension. Me and Jayson talked about it this morning. I think he's kind of learning, watching the other players having a day off yesterday and recognizing it's easy to be, of course, highly motivated, but sometimes it can get the adrenaline going a little too much. And I think we're going to see a lot higher level of play from here on out in the event.
When he's on, Jayson Chua is a joy to watch.
Like maybe a kiss shot on the 9 here. Does the 8 easily pass? The 8 does play. Could have used a little better position, but should be okay. Wants to dig on this cue ball. Come out 2 cushions.
Jeremy Jones picked out the shot. Jayson Chua saw it as well. Length of table bank.
Jayson
that
Chua
opened up
wins
the
the rack.
entire rack, and with that, Jayson Chua, eagle eye, draws first blood against Johann Chua. So he's one Brit involved this afternoon, and over on table 2 there is another. It will be a tough task though for Chris Melling against Aloysius Shap from Singapore. And one of the reasons for that is that poor old Chris is suffering from gout. He was telling me this morning that the big toe on his right foot is really red and very, very painful. So when he's walking on his right foot, he's actually turning the foot to one side, as it were. You might have seen him hobble into the arena when the introductions were made. But he's got a good chance here to win the first.
Yeah, pretty missed easy 8-ball there from Yap. And always think about Aloysius, good friend of mine, and Spent some time with him there in Dallas several times. Comes there. He's kind of changed his technique quite a bit. It's,
Rack 2.
I think at times a little
Jayson
concerning.
short
but
break. Leading 1 rack to
thought
0.
he was so natural before. And we'll see how that develops.
Beware the injured pool player.
And now Jayson didn't make the 1, but did bury another ball, so has a look at the 1 as well. We'll see if he wants to stay offensive with another bank shot. Looks like a pretty doable safety behind the blue 2, though, so interesting. Could tuck this one under. That's not his best, and the 1 needs to travel. And a couple times, Jayson's kind of pulling the trigger a little quickly here. And wasn't his best, and Johann Chua with an opening.
Yeah, I think when he does that, when he plays a little too swiftly for his own good, to me, over the years, that's an indication he's feeling quite
Extension
nervous.
called.
I know he did that in the early stages of the Mosconi Cup last year in a few matches. He bedded in, of course, but early on.
Yeah, he was awesome in that Mosconi, but and the thing with me with Jayson, I don't mind when he gets down on the ball quickly. You know, he has that rhythm. It's actually when he's down on the ball and kind of pulls the trigger, you know, a little abruptly where the problem lies, and that's most players. Oh, just to inform you, this is Winners Qualification throughout the building. We'll have a few rounds of that in the afternoon, and then the Losers Qualification tonight for that final 64. You know, I talked in the opening about Chua, and man, we all love to watch him play. I mean, just like Jayson, he's a true entertainer on the table. But one thing that really concerns me at times is, again, sometimes we miss him at events that we expect him to be there. And of course, the Philippines, it's a long travel to a lot of places, but I think he really can't replace that match time overall. I mean, of course, you can hit balls, and he absolutely knows what he's doing with the cue in his hand, but I really feel like if he just put through a full season, no telling what we might see. There's a name playing right now that we haven't talked about much of late. Of course, now a father, but a guy that's made a few deep runs in this World Championships before, Alex Gazakis. I think he's a dangerous player this week.
Yeah, so many potential candidates for joy in Jeddah. That was a pretty joyful shot. 4 position for shape on the 6.
Yeah. One thing with Johann, it's usually not the tough shot that may get him. It's sometimes more of the routine things, and talk about that with players down the line a little bit, but not with the top guys so much.
And the way this rack has gone, Jeremy, just underlines, reminds us that at this level, a small safety misjudgment, and you can pay a heavy price.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Chua had to gamble on that thin 1 ball on the side. I wouldn't say fortunate to get on the 2. I think he deserved it, really, but it's made a nice clearance since. Filipino players are most represented here in this 2024 Whirlpool Championships. I think very deserving as well.
Johann Chua wins the rack.
Johann Chua, who was the inspirational figure when the Philippines won the World Cup of Pool last year, draws level at 1 rack each. both of these players near the top of the game. Johann Chua, 31 years of age now. His World Tour Championship seeding is 60, but that's really not where he should be. It's based on his ranking, of course. As Jeremy said, he doesn't play in all of the tournaments. Very fortunate, I thought, to come through his first match. Nickname Badcoy. Middle name Gonzalez, and sometimes he can play very speedy stuff. As for Jayson Shaw, what a career he's had. He's the 5th player in the World Nineball Tour rankings. That win over
Rack
Jeffrey
3.
Rodder in the first round was a little
Johann Chua to
flattering.
break.
35
Scores
years
a
of
tied
age
one
now,
rack
in the
each.
prime of his career.
Yeah.
And of course he's got that privilege and that responsibility of being the European Mosconi Cup captain this year.
Yeah, an interesting situation with that playing captain, him and Skylar Woodward. Of course, Jayson, the way things are going, he's in a good position to make it off points and do him a lot of favors having both those wild card picks in his hand.
We are back to dry.
Yeah, we've had one ball on the break. The one is missed every time. Now this one, it's gotten frozen here or very close to the rail. If it bounced a little bit, the rail first looks very possible, but don't think a pocketable one here.
Few quick scores for you. Claudio Cacci, the youngster from Albania, has taken the first rack from Tyler Steyer. Roland Garcia and Copigny 1-1. Ralph Suke in the generation game against Jonas Suter Camino has taken the opener. So too Francisco Sanchez Ruiz over Kyle Amarato.
Playing a bit swerve here. Wow. Okay, he's trying to get some kind of fortune. Didn't feel like the push out was really a possibility. Maybe the 2 doesn't squeeze by the 6. Maybe that opened the door to try and gamble a little bit on the 1. So looking at a spin shot here to clip the 1. Try and come across utilizing the 9 and 5. He's hit a little thick. I don't know if he's going to get there. He's going to certainly give up a shot on the 1, and we'll see what Jayson wants to produce on the blue 2.
The 2 does squeeze past the green 6, it seems to me.
Yeah, pretty easy safety to go through the 2 and snuggle them up behind the green 6, though. So big decision. Tables on the soft speed hasn't been that easy. It's just got, you know, like as they say in golf, those soft hands, you know, kind of like around the green. I think the same thing applies here with Jayson Shaw in the 9-ball pool. Yeah, wanted a little more there. Now going to go forward 2 rails. Maybe stun. Looks like stun, so a little more angle than I thought.
The break-off isn't working, but it seems everything else most certainly is.
Yeah, a bit of a tester and a decision. Does he stay just above the side, just making the 8 a bit easier? Does he dig on the cue ball? Close enough to it, the control should be there.
Jayson Chua wins
2 out
the
of
rack.
3 ain't bad for Jayson Chua. He's looked pretty sharp so far, and once again he goes in front in this tough match against the Filipino Johann Chua. Welcome back to Jeddah, and welcome back to the crown jewel of the Matchroom World Nineball Tour schedule for 2024. We've already had the Premier League Pool, World Pool Masters and UK Open. After this, well, it's a double-header in August with the European Open and the US Open in Atlantic City, USA. Hanoi Open and Reyes Cup. Back-to-back weeks in Vietnam and the Philippines. And then we go to the House of the Mouse, Orlando, Florida, for the Mosconi Cup from November the 30th to December the 3rd.
Thank you, rack 4. Jayson Chua to break, leading 2 racks to 1.
We know that Jayson Chua will be there leading Europe in their Mosconi Cup defence.
Yeah, Josh Filler got that MVP last year, but really Jayson played as well as anyone, I thought. And Alvin Ocean played pretty sporty himself as well. But all right, there's that one on the side. So Jayson carries a bunch of different types of breaks with this cut break, so maybe finding or figuring a little something out there. I think he can get at the blue 2 here, but I think he's entertaining some type of kick shot off the bottom cushion. Or maybe he does have an edge. And it's very difficult to even push out here to a kick shot that Johann Chua would certainly take, you would think. A difficult situation here in rack 4 to open.
Push out call.
Yeah, I think I'd like to make something a bit more difficult here if possible. He's going to kick to roll out to the upper corner. I think this is a little light considering
Johann, it's your choice.
the 3-4-9 there. This is a pretty easy kick shot, and certainly Johann Chua is going to take it.
At least he nominated the push out, unlike Luong Duc Tien last night, effectively costing him the match.
Yeah, feel his pain. I've, of course, had a pretty instrumental foul at the wrong time in the Mosconi, and understand it happens to everyone. And I kind of was wondering about that push from Jayson there. And, you know, sometimes you push out to something that's going to be pretty obvious, but you feel like you're going to have a lot in return. You know, whether it be a kick or a jump, that's not the case here. And of course, well executed by Johann Chua. Little surprise there at that push out.
Extension call.
And we know the Filipinos in general well known for their kicking abilities. Yeah, it was a rather surprising decision, that. You called it before you even contemplated it.
Yeah, and of course I was always taught, you know, Nick Varner's the one who told me several times, you have to push out, really trying to have the best percentage to get the push out back, and that was never in question there. I'm not sure what, maybe hit the left side of the 2, let the cue ball go into the 8. That's the only thing I can imagine. Maybe try and create some luck. The 7's going to help him out here, trying to cover up the pocket, or at least somewhat. this 2-ball does slide in. Got to pinch the cue ball back a bit. Tough shot, that's for sure. Both these players cue the ball so nicely, and their timing is so good. That's what opens up the pocket a bit. We're able to play those shots, each of them with a tough 2-ball in that lower right early in this match.
And you know what places extra jeopardy on this match? Whoever is defeated will go into losers qualification to take on Albin Auschen.
Yeah, I spent a little time in bed last night looking at all the possibilities. Oh my. Wow. Almost just like his opponent that we talked about in the last frame, or maybe it was the one prior, that when down on the ball, he pulled the trigger a little quick.
Well, that was a very poor miss. That kind of mistake often acts as a turning point.
Yeah, usually comes with not only punishment here in rack 4, but maybe punishment thereafter. And you know, the thing you may worry about if you're in Chua's corner, which so many are, they're gonna, you know, bring in some of those things from his first match. You know, mentally making a few easy mistakes with a much different opponent as well.
We were thinking about parity. Not anymore. In
Jayson
goes
Shaw
the
wins the
9-ball. Jayson Shaw 3-1 ahead. Can tell you Francisco Sanchez Ruiz was 2-1 down to Kyle Amoroto. It's now 2-2. Konrad Jajushin 2-1 upon Oliver Szolnocki. Now what's been happening over on table 1? Tyler Steyer, he's trailing 2-1 against Cledio Caci, the younger of the Caci brothers.
Yeah, I talked to Tyler this morning, and he said doesn't feel like it's happened here in Saudi, but at some point right before Saudi, or maybe on the way, he got some food poisoning. So that he feels his best today that he's felt the entire trip.
Yes, when we first arrived, I overheard Tyler having a conversation with someone saying just how under the weather he felt. And he said,
Okay, Jayson.
I'm never sick, never.
Rack 5. Jayson short to break, leading 3 racks to 1.
Yeah, kick on the 9. Gotta feel good to get the 1 down. And just that 1 falling, I mean, it's amazing what it does for Jayson in particular, you know, mentally in these matches. It's really the break shot that can get him a little sideways. Now, this looks to be really good speed, utilizing the pink 4, black 8, and gonna press on Johann Chua after a big mistake in the last. So the reason, of course, you would kick this way, there are a couple options, is you want the cue ball to continue downward, maybe pocket the 2, and then maybe you want separation. Maybe the 2 goes back up table as the cue ball maybe goes behind the 5 or the 4 like this. Not going to get what he wanted, but it's a difficult rack anyways. The 3-7-9 on the left side rail up the table. Very congested. Does he play a safety here just because of that tough 3-ball?
Extension call.
It's a 30-second shot clock on the main table with a 30-second extension per player per rack. And Chua's taking his extension right here.
Oh, he must be bending this because the angle he's at is going at the 6. So he's got to be hooking the ball. Hooked it too much.
Foul stroke. Ball in hand.
Now we'll get a little look
Please
at the
start the
7-9 combination, and not saying he's going to play a 3-way, but I think the 7-9 does play. So this ball in hand to get to the back side of the 3, pretty big and important for Jayson to make a clearance.
Excuse me.
Could play the 2-6 here as well. And then have the 2 there to get on the 3.
It wasn't a certainty, but it's the kind of pot you expect Jayson Chua to bury.
Yeah, and he knew it right away. As soon as the cue ball left, he could see the eyes open. They widened a little bit. The head came up. A little fortunate with the snooker, but Johann Chua was happy to be at the table. And a great hit there. Reverse spin on the cue ball. The 3 dead in the face, holding the rock.
By the way, we went over to table 2, didn't we, for a while to see how Chris Milling was doing.
Extension called.
The man with gout is doing okay. He's 3-2 up on Aloysius Yap of Singapore.
Yeah, Yap's missed a couple. Pretty easy balls so far, trying to settle in. Jayson's going to go with the jump here. I wonder what kind of shot he's going to play. I mean, if he tries to hold the cue ball, banking the 3 away, easy to scratch. Does he try to play the 3 into the 6 and swing the cue ball back around? Yeah, that's why I was wondering about the jump versus the kick, and I just saw a scratch kind of coming either side of that 3 ball.
Please start the clock.
Now Johann Chua a chance to make up for that mistake in the last game. Took a bit of a gamble there, and I think that's just because where he landed on the 6. Couldn't quite get to the position to play the 7-9 combination, which I think was very makeable. I don't know about this one.
Same pocket as the missed 4 ball previously. Hurtful.
And the table rolled true. Pocket's definitely tightening up, but that one shouldn't have gone, and it didn't. Uh-oh. Bounce here. Did get it. Just caught the 7 a little thick to the pocket. Is that what I saw? That's the only way the cue ball really has that route.
Well, looking on the bright side, at least he didn't scratch, which looked a possibility when he first potted the 7.
Yeah, Jayson's thinking he's got a duck here. He's got to chop the 8, put the 8 on the bottom cushion. He's attacking though, so low percentage. Wow, what a shot. Ball speed's gonna be okay. And that's why they call him Eagle Eye, folks.
Jayson Chua.
I must say the 8 ball there was simply brilliant from Jayson Chua. What a shot, an early candidate for shot of the day. He leads by 4 racks to 1, and he's set his stall out there.
Yeah, I mean, you can take filler, you can take them all right there, and you're probably at about 20 to 25% making that ball and working the cue ball into position. So, yeah, some pretty special stuff there from Shaw.
And that's one of the reasons why he's had such a special career. Winner of the US Open in 2017. He's won the Turning Stone Classic 9 times. This year, he won the Super Billiard Expo event. He's been a back-to-back Mosconi Cup MVP in 2020 and again the following year. Reigning Hanoi Open champion. He's the real deal.
Yeah, if you're talking about completing a career, it's really just this World Pool Championships title that's eluded him. And it hadn't been his best at the World Pool Championships, but looking to make amends, and
Rack 6.
certainly going to be a Hall
Jayson
of
Chua to
Famer in
break.
just some 5 or 6
Leading
years.
4 racks to 1. Foul stroke, ball in hand.
That was extraordinary. The 1 ball and the cue ball went into that middle pocket within a nanosecond of each other.
Yeah, that's a little unfortunate. It wasn't hit poorly. The 5 just slivered the cue ball, and of course Jayson's starting to get the break together. And I always say it, you know, when you're struggling and you made a few mistakes, ball in hand's the one that can kind of make you forget about that for a bit. Copini against Roland Garcia up 4-1, and really after escaping that first match against another Filipino player in Jeffrey Ignacio, Copini all business so far.
Yes, and Ko's younger brother, Ko Ping Han, he's also 4-1 ahead against Abdullah Al-Shamari. Make that 5-1. The scoreboard has just changed mid-sentence.
Yeah, and Al-Shamari is just such an awesome cueist. Had a big win. What was it, Alvin Ocean he beat, right?
David Al-Kaidi.
Oh, David Al-Kaidi, excuse me, yeah. Chua's, I mean, of course it's a winter break format, but you feel like he's just got to clear these. Jayson seems in form, and the break seems to be getting better.
Missed pots from Chua in each of the last couple of racks. He simply can't afford a third. Just a slightly edgy cue delivery, I thought there.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
That was an imperative rack for Johann Chua to win. Jayson Chua unlucky with a scratch off the break, and Chua took advantage. Even so, the Filipino trails 4-2. There is the great American players, Billy Thorpe, Shane Walford, and at the back, the greatest of the lot, Shane Van Boening. Recently elected to the Billiards Congress of America Hall of Fame, and quite rightly so. 96% of the vote in his first year, as he should be.
Well, it's astounding. It wasn't 100% to me. I'd like to find out about the 4% and where they've been, but quite possibly the greatest tournament player, you know, we've ever had. A big win in the last for Chua. Unfortunate scratch on the break for Shaw. I thought the break would start to improve with these players, and we're seeing it.
Before we get into the meat of this rack, I have to tell you what's happening on table 10. Big story. Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, the defending champion and World Nineball Tour rankings #1, finds himself 4-2 down to Kyle Amorotto.
See a little movement in the arm. Not that happy with the pretty routine shot. Now he's got to work a little harder, get proper on the 5. Shouldn't be a big problem, but we always talk about it. When you get out of line, it's not that first or second ball. It's really what's going to happen 3 or 4 balls down the road. Shouldn't be a problem here, though. Gamble didn't want to play from underneath.
Trailing 4-1 after that fantastic Jayson Chua 8-ball. You wondered whether Chua might well be heavily defeated. We're not thinking that now.
No, not at all. And you have to take advantage of your opponent's mistake, or a little unfortunate mistake there with the scratch on the break. But I always talk about that break shot can unfold and get you going.
most straightforward 9-ball imaginable.
Johann Chua wins the
And
rack.
you know, if Johann Chua can replicate the form he showed, the inspirational form he showed
Thank you.
when the Philippines won the World Cup in Spain last year, he could be a match for anyone. Okay, it was a double triumph because James Aranas contributed as well, but there was no doubt the lead player, the shot maker, the spark plug was Johann Chua. Because they were unseeded last year, the Filipinos, the bookmakers got the wrong end of the stick, and they were quoted back in Britain at 25 to 1 to win that World Cup. Why, oh why didn't we have a bet? The Filipinos 25 to 1 to win the World Cup. Ludicrous.
Yeah, any Q sports you might, doesn't matter what game it is, what part of the planet, another planet, somewhere in the galaxy, but yeah, 25 to 1 on the Filipinos is pretty good action, no matter
Rack 8.
no matter the situation.
Johann Chua to break, trailing 4 racks to 3.
Yeah, a little snatchy with it there. A little quick, caught it a little thin. Not the break shot he was looking for. I don't think he left an offensive shot, or at least not a high percentage one, and one that would carry position. Maybe a push out here, even though he has a look at the one. I really don't see much of a play, and you can see all the balls kind of away from the center of the table, so very hard to get the safety.
Push out called.
So
your
let's
choice.
hope this push out is a little more productive than the last one, which backfired spectacularly.
Yeah, and I tell you, he didn't have a whole lot of options really, but I think the 2 does pass the 3. I mean, he could go up and down the table, could go into the 8 to hold the cue ball. It looks like he's going to bang the 1 around. I think this is as dangerous as anything. I think I got to go for this ball, and the reason why I say that, if he puts the 1 near this cluster over on the left side rail and doesn't get the snooker, now he hit it beautifully, but you see the 1 coming around, he could be in a bad situation here in a moment. I don't know if that's the case, but can Jayson play some tricky one here? Part of the game is still that Jayson doesn't get enough credit, and probably because of what he really excels at, which is knocking in the incredible balls. Cue ball looks pretty decent. Is it going to, the speed's perfect. That's why I think I would have attacked on the 1 and then made a decision if I was Chua.
You know, when Judd Trump, the snooker star, played in the US Open, of course, his most memorable match was that heavy defeat by Jayson Chua. And there's lots of similarities, because although Trump is regarded as a wonderful attacking player, and rightly so, he's got a terrific safety
Extension
game,
call.
and he's wonderful at laying snookers and getting out of them. And I think the same applies to Chua. Yes, the spotlight is on attack, but with him, defense is pretty good as well.
Yeah, I think you can say the same about Filler these days. His tactical game has been incredible, and how little have we talked about Filler this week as a whole, whether it be in the comms box or at the start of the show. And I don't think Filler minds that, going about his business. Plays a little bit later on. Caught that thick. This could hurt. Okay, he did open up. Now, does he attack with a long rail bank? He's already knocked one in. Could come off the right side running the cue ball.
Yeah, we're going to see Joshua for the later. He takes on Shechia Chen of Chinese Taipei.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to run the cue ball off the right side of the two. So speed control, very important. Yeah, nice touch overall. Play golf with Jayson in Scotland. Have you ever played with him, Phil? It's at a mile.
Does he?
Oh, an absolute mile. Or at
I've
least
got more
he did that
admiration
day.
for him now.
He had me by 70, 80 yards most of the day. All right, this beautiful safety and good decision is going to open up a shot for Eagle Eye. I think the rack does play. It's not easy. I think everything is doable. The 6-7 combination, of course.
Momentum-wise, this is a really big rack.
Yeah, especially because it seems both players are starting to tune in on the breaking end, and it's been a tough table to break the balls on this week, and it'll be the table that delivers all the title and the cash and everything else that comes with it. They could get a little kiss on the cue ball here. It's going to probably kind of drag it softly like that.
Don't know what it is with left-handers in sport, but they are so often aesthetically pleasing to watch, and Chua falls into that category.
Yeah,
Extension
fell
call.
really straight here and was in perfect position, or somewhat straight. Was in perfect position on the 6 to gain that proper angle, nice and tidy. So big shot. I like the little extra time here as well. Now, do you go forward with high inside? Very missable. The stun across, very missable as well. He's going forward. Oh, beauty.
Jayson Chua wins the
Sweet
rack.
connection there on the 9 to take a 2-game lead.
Yes, and now Jayson Chua more than halfway to victory. He'll be pleased with the way he won that rack. The 8-ball, not quite as spectacular that one we saw before, but nevertheless it took some potting and the 9 followed. Now that is Ibrahim Bada Kazinda. And earlier on he was practicing with Jayson Chua. Chua's very good with the junior players. Of course, the junior tournament at the UK Open is named after him, and he was heavily invested in that event in Telford. After his defeat, he hung around to present the trophy.
Good luck, okay?
And what a treat it is for young players like Ibrahim to meet their heroes and play a rack with them.
Yeah, absolutely, and just a splendid, fun kid. You know, Carl and I came early to do some training with the juniors here in Saudi, and Ibrahim was definitely kind of the fun of. They were all a lot of fun, but kind of the jokester a little bit. Kind of mixes with Jayson, just perfect. And you know, the kids' attention at times can be a little here and there. We all know that. We're all like that. Had to remind him, hey, you've got to get over here and work a little. But super talented and a lot of talent
Jayson
here in
Chua to break.
Saudi.
Leading 5 racks to 3.
Chua back 2 in front. Now, the last time he broke off, the one went in the same right-hand middle pocket, but the cue ball unfortunately followed. This time, white remains mid-table.
Yeah, and look at the 4-5-8 just kind of open up for a good look at the blue 2. See the break shot coming around for Jayson as well, especially in comparison to his first match. 4 to 5 successful. At this point where he made a little separation with a few breaking runs. Now this cue ball is going to get near the rail, so this angle on the pink pretty crucial. Can he go into the 8? He doesn't really want to baby this. Got to hit it light. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I wouldn't want to baby it. But again, don't mind him getting down on it quickly, but did he kind of pull the trigger a little quicker, just like earlier?
It was a bad miss, but it's actually turned out well.
Extension called.
Yeah, you can't be negative here if you're Johann. Got to pull on some positive vibes, make a good kick shot at the pink. Look at this, he's going to play off the point. Not one you see very often. Yeah. That's a hard one to do, right? I mean, you know, it's a fun shot and all, and again, I'm not saying it's not the right shot at times, but he had options there. Normally you would shoot that when there wasn't any other options overall.
And to add insult to injury, the 6 ball went down, making Chua's life with the dish just that little bit easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Shaw would have wished a few more went down during that foul. The only reason you shoot that if you're Johann is if you fear you're not going to execute otherwise. You know, he kind of felt like that was a guarantee, I would suspect. And, you know, like you said, the Filipinos believe in what you're seeing and what you can do. They kick at the ball as well as anyone on the planet.
Chua has been the better player. I think he's fully deserving of this now healthy lead.
Jayson Chua wins the rack.
In fact, he's doubling up on Johann Chua. He leads by 6 racks to 3. 3 more needed for progress. A few moments ago, the alarm bells were ringing for Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, the defending champion, when he trailed Kyle Amoroto by 4 racks to 2. Things, though, have radically and rapidly changed. FSR has won the next 4 racks, and he leads 6-4 now, but he won't be taking anything for granted against a fine young talent from the Philippines. That's the trophy he's trying to retain, trying to become the first player for 33 years to successfully defend the World Nineball Tour Championship.
10. Jayson Chua to break, leading 6 racks to 3.
Yeah, missed the 1, did get the 8 down. Little movement on the 9 right there. Sometimes that shows you maybe the rack was a bit different, but of course it's hard to tell with the cut break, there's again so many different ways to play it. Could maybe have been not the hit he wanted from Jayson. Now a big 1 ball. Definitely going to attack. I say definitely. Could lock him up behind the 3 pretty easily, but I think you got to go here.
So twice now when he's been playing at very quiet pace, he's missed balls. Previously, he got away with it, but not there.
And I tell you, you're never going to, put Jayson as any kind of slow player or anything, but you got 60 seconds after the break, and this isn't about hindsight, and not really someone who plays on that too much, but just kind of recognizing how big a ball that 1 ball was, especially with an open run behind it. Maybe take a hair more time, especially with the awkward kind of cueing with the bridge and all.
In keeping with the round we're in, i.e. Winners Qualification, where so much talent is on display, you look down the 12 matches that are being played simultaneously in this arena. Pretty much all of them are tight. And this one is about to tighten up, you would think.
For a mistake here with this layout.
We're in the
extension call.
Prince Abdullah Al Faisal City Sports Hall in Jeddah. It really is a state-of-the-art facility for this World Nineball Championship. Everyone so intent on going deep and maybe qualifying for that life-changing $250,000 US first prize.
Yeah, not his best on the 5. Could have gotten much closer here to this 6. Got to put a bit more pace. Hit that sweet center cut. Probably his best transition stroke in the match.
Every time you think that Jayson Chua might pull away and ride off into the distance, Johann Chua stubbornly pulls a rack or 2 back. It's 6-4 now. In the audience there are Jayson Chua's wife and his 2 children, providing support. Of course, the next ranking event on the World Nineball Tour is in Dubai at a room that's named after Jayson Chua.
Yeah, I was hoping I could make that, but flew through Dubai on the way here, man. And I haven't been there in some 20 years. So much has changed. Just an incredible place. What I've heard about the pool room, very incredible itself. Yeah, nice added event too. I think maybe 25K, 30K added. Many of the players attending. Or maybe 1 or 2.
Rack
that
11.
Make a deep run and change some plans.
Trailing 6 racks to 4.
So can Chua maintain some momentum? Turn up the heat.
Cue ball.
Foul
Cue
stroke.
ball.
Ball in hand.
So they've each had a very unfortunate kiss. One that we see a lot crossing back over the 9.
Please start the clock.
Wrong time for Chua, who trails in this match.
The look on Jayson Chua's face, like a fox in amongst the chickens, loving this.
Yeah, some concern here though, because I think it's the pink 4 pretty covered up here with the 8 and 9, so he may try and manufacture a little something. Trying to get proper. Looks like he's going to settle for a 4-8 combo. Wouldn't have minded being able to slide over and play a 4-5 combination. Been a little bit easier. Most of these matches very close throughout the room. Get you some scores after this game concludes here on the main table. Now it looks like the 4 is going to stay away from the 9. Looks like he's gotten a little below it, so he's got to kind of hold it. Play a little lighter stroke, which is a hair draw. But not overhit it. Yeah, that way the 4 doesn't get away. Okay, a little clip here, just come one rail straight at the 6.
Not the cleanest pop, that's why he's looking away in a mild display of disgust, but it went in and he's on the 7 anyway.
Yeah, played a bit of a drag pinch there on the 7, trying to make a bit of a friendlier pocket. Good thing he did the 7. Seen a lot of those balls hang up at times here.
For the third
Jayson
time,
Chua wins the rack.
Jayson Chua has a 3-rack advantage. It was 4-1, it was 6-3, and now it's 7-4, 2 racks away from victory. Now let's take a look over on table 2, where it's a rather heroic performance as Chris Melling tries to battle through the pain barrier. He's got gout, the poor fellow. Very painful big toe on his right foot, he was telling me. Well, he's 6-4 up on Aloysius Yap. He's inflicting a different kind of pain on the Singaporean #1. Actually, Yap has just won the 11th rack, so the gap has reduced to 6-5.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, but keep an eye on that just because that's the table right in front of me and Phil. And you know, Aloysius had a handful of mistakes, and you know, handful, maybe 4 or 5, but Chris has had a couple himself. Really could have a little bit bigger lead. Overall, Chris has played pretty solid again with that pain, but Yap needs to shore a few things up.
Whoever wins, it's going to be a tremendous QS going through.
Yap is steadily improving that break shot, so we all know how well he is after the break. Great of a player, and like many of these guys on the World Nineball Tour, just a pleasure to be around.
He's had lots of success all over the world. Captured titles in the States, came very close to winning the US Open.
And I think he's the front runner at the moment to make
Rack
that
12.
that Reyes Cup team for Team
Jayson Chua to
Asia.
break. Leading 7 racks to 4.
We'll keep you right up to date with that match and indeed give you all of the scores of the other matches at the end of this rack as Chua tries to mount the hill.
Yeah, now he's come away with, you know, a lot of good breakoffs, but a lot of like shots that are, you know, ones you want to tack on, but not easy. Plus, what you got to do with the cue ball. That's the look of not a safety coming, though. That's the look of he's going to go here. Wants to kill the cue ball a little bit. 2 rails around the 3.
Bingo. Eagle eye strikes again.
And that kind of shot, again, is what I talked about earlier, those soft hands. You tend to grip the cue much. That kind of shot becomes very difficult and almost impossible, really. Got to think about the 7 a bit here. That's the ball to get on. Like he'll just play from underneath. Maybe pull the ball up the rail. Maybe come 2 rails for the 7 in the side. That being the brown 7. A little awkward. Doesn't necessarily want to elevate the back end of the cue and really dig, even though he may have to. Like he's going to try and stun 2 rails to get a little cut on the 8. He held it.
In goes
Jayson Chua
the
rack.
9-ball. Utterly reliable from Jayson Chua. This is a much better performance than his first match a couple of days ago. It is quite a session at the World 9-Ball Pool Championship here in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. It's winners qualification, and in line to be the first player to record a victory is the man breaking off on the main table, Jayson Chua. The one finding the center pocket on a regular basis.
Yeah, incredible what we see on the break shot. Cue ball catching the 7 and drawing straight up the table. So he's going to take a chance at winning the match here with a pretty tough one. And I know you know, you're going a little further away, but I really like him leveling out there and going forward and taking a little longer shot on the 3. I just don't see Jayson missing that ball very often when he plays it that way. Of course, you always want to feel like you can pull off whichever shot you want if you're one of these guys, and that's just the mentality.
And mitigating circumstances for Chua. I think that's the 3rd time that Chua has taken on a ball and not left a direct pot.
Yeah, and it seems like, you know, after you have a few misses, and we had 2 really key misses early, right? The 4 and the 7 down the rail, and chance to put a lot of heat on his opponent. I think pretty good touch there.
Yeah, the 7-ball he should have potted. That was in rack 5, but the 4-ball he missed in rack 4, that was unforgivable.
Yeah, absolutely. Just trying to create a little more on the cue ball to get back across, and just took his eye off the pink. Should hit this. I think it's going to do much for him, though.
Also on the hill, Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, 8-4 now over Kyle Amorotto. He's won 6 on the trot.
A nice shot there. You know, it's always a funny shot to stun the ball when the 2 ball's up, plus you have to come in a tight angle inside that purple 5, so good stuff there from Shaw. 1 screw shot here on the 3 should get him in position to advance to the final 64. Still 6 shots remaining, but should take this down, Phil. Now just roll this in, lay on the side rail. Should be pretty natural to play the 5. Now remember the pink he missed when he played it lighter just a few games ago. Got a big roll doing so, but I think you just got to take your medicine there. Trying to take a little more distance here.
Beat Jeffrey Roeder 9-5 in his first match. Jayson Chua, this a little more comfortable and undoubtedly more impressive.
Jayson Chua wins.
Given the
match.
quality and the
9 racks to
CV
4.
of Johann Chua, Jayson wasn't a sure thing to win that match, but he did anyway. And in the end, I think he will come out of it with a lot of confidence, and rightfully so. In the end, the final score is 9-4.